Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the Piaggio MP3 Explorer channel. And my name's Susanna, and I'm your Piaggio MP3 Explorer. And today we have a slightly different video today. It's a bit of a technical video, but it's still useful for those of you who ride your motorcycles and scooters, because I wanted to talk to you about the Kurviger app. Now, I've been using the Kurviger app for a little while now, and I wanted to do a video on it. Just to make clear, I'm not actually sponsored by Kurviger at all. These are just my observations, and this is how I find it through the course of me using it. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with Kurviger, and I was sold on it virtually straight away. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Kurviger, it's essentially a sat nav, and it's pretty much motorcycle and scooter orientated. But obviously, if you've got a car, you can still use it. It's not really a problem. But it's that kind of thing. It's more orientated towards scooter and motorcycle users. But like I said, you can use it as a regular sat nav. And obviously, there's other sat navs available. There's Google you can use, and you can use like stuff like Kalamoto and TomTom, and there's numerous others that you can use. Garmin too. But I've been using the Kurviger app, because I've gone through quite a few apps where I tried to use it, and this is the one that I've sort of settled on. However, that being said, I do use Google as well. And I think it's quite important to have a few on your phone or your sat nav, because if you get stuck into a situation where there isn't any reception, or there's bad reception, or maybe one app might work better than another app in the sort of area that you're in, then I think it's quite handy to have maybe one or two options in that kind of way. I do have an older Garmin, which I think is really useful, because that is like a really dedicated GPS, whereas Kurviger and like a lot of these Android apps a lot of these apps run off mobile data. Now, as you can see, the Kurviger app is up. It's on an iPad, so you can download it for Apple. You can download it for Android, because that's predominantly how I use Kurviger. And the other thing to sort of bear in mind is before you start sort of going into this, is kind of one thing I would say is you need to think about it. There's a couple of considerations straight off the bat to get the best out of these things. And one of them is yourself, and that is your ability in riding your bike, in terms of, are you a beginner? Are you sort of a confident rider? Or are you an expert at it, or whatever? Because obviously, when you choose these routes, some of these routes can be, tricky in places. And so you have to understand that when you're selecting certain features on the app, which I'll speak to you about. Also, your bike, you have to take into consideration your motorbike or your scooter. And as many of you know, I ride a scooter. Now, many people will tell you that scooters are just designed to stay on local city streets or local towns, not to go anywhere too adventurous. But my Piaggio MP3, if I've got a picture, I'll put one up so you can see what it's like. It runs on city grip tyres. It's predominantly is designed as a city commuter and stuff like that, but I use it for much more than that. I take it anywhere. But that being said, obviously, again, you have to factor that into where you're going and some of the routes that you're taking, as to whether or not your bike can cope with it as well as you. So these are two things straight off the bat that when you're sort of selecting these routes to bear in mind. Now, I've downloaded, this is an Apple version, but I've actually you have to create an account. through an email address. And at the moment, I've just created this account. This isn't actually my account. This is actually one that I've just created for the purpose of this video, because what I wanted to, because obviously if I show you my account, which I will do, the features are different. So I wanted to show you what it was like basically off the bat. So there's nothing here. Now you've got this little Kurviger logo, and that will take you to the features. So if you go to the features, it will tell you my routes, my favorites. Now, if you go to my routes, it will turn around and say 0 and 0 because there's nothing there. You haven't planned anything. If you go back to the menu and you go back to my favorites, oh, sorry, that was my routes. Let's go back to that. There you go. Again, there's no favorites here because you haven't done anything. You know, you haven't added anything, so it's not going to turn around and show you anything. So it's basically you have to fill that in as you go along. But if we go down to the settings menu, this will give you a load of options. And again, they've got the language at the top, so you can have it. Now, funnily enough, when I downloaded it onto my iPad, for some reason it came out in German. So if you do have that happen to you, let's just go back to the beginning, and you get this page and it's all in German for some reason. I don't know why it happened, because it didn't happen on my phone. You just go to the Kurviger menu up the top. You go to the settings, which is the one with the cog. And then it will take you to the language here, which is the top one. And it will say Deutsch in the beginning. And then you just have to just click on it and just go to the one to the language you want. Then you can sort of select the unit in length. And that is basically, you can use it as kilometers, but I choose it as miles, because obviously in the UK we use miles. Then you can set that. And then obviously the profile settings is for you as a person. So you can create yourself a profile ID and all the rest of it. And this is what I quite like. You've got route planning. It's like cluster point sort of interest on the map. So for example, if you've got a number of, say, cafes or something, you can overlay that on the map. Also, you can show turn-by-turn instructions on the map. You can do that if you want to. Detailed information. Now, detailed information is something that I went into afterwards. So when you are when you're riding along, you can have this information on your screen. I think actually this is a different one. Actually, I think this. Want to see on the route. Oh, this is during the planning stage. Sorry, forgive me. That's actually incorrect. It's under the navigation. Sorry. So when you're planning, when you're designing a route, you can add speed limits and all the rest of it and route information. But we'll show you that afterwards. Appearance is really cool. You can have an night mode, automatic or off. You can have the transparency, however you want to sort of see it on there. And then automatic rerouting is on, and automatically download off my Mac's standard. Now, save recorded ride. Now, this is something that I think is really cool. I love this feature. I've been using it a lot. So basically, every time, if you click on it, it says you've got 3 options: never, standard, always. So what it means is it says your route is recorded by default, and you'll be asked after each journey whether you want to save the route. If you select never, basically once you finish the ride, it will just automatically shut off, and it won't save anything. Or you can have it, if you have it as otherwise you can have it as always, which is what I always do. I always have it on as always, because that way it always asks you, do you want to save it? And then you've always got the option to say yes or no. Also, you can have additional information. So this is where you kind of get it onto here. So on your screen, as you're riding along, and it's giving you directions, turn left here and turn right there and all the rest of it. You can also have additional information. So you can also have like the time, and then you can also have the speed limit and the current speed limit, which it doesn't give you unless you check these items. So altitude I don't necessarily need. The battery status I'm not that particularly bothered about, although it is a handy feature, I guess. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine with those. So you can go through these options here. And also you can have the map orientation, which is 2D, 3D, north. So you can, and that just basically shows you when you go onto your screen how you want it displayed on your phone or your sat nav or whatever you're using, your CarPlay, whether you want it as a 2D version or a 3D version. Like I said, we can get onto that. And you can just go back and have a little play with all of that. Now, one thing I should sort of show you as well, under the settings, you've got settings there that we've had a look at. You can download offline maps, but it says you have to upgrade. So let's have a quick look at that. So if you go to here, it now gives you the price points, which I think is really, really handy to have. So if we look at it like this, so that the prices for Kurviger are, you can, obviously you're limited if you do it the free. You can have it the Tourer or the Tourer Plus option. Now, it's £24.99 for the Tourer Plus a year. You can try it for 7 days for free and get all the features. And what happens is if you download it and you try it for 7 days, I think you sort of have to sort of let them know within 5 days, really, rather than 7 days, because once the 7 days are up, I think that's when they take out the money for the £24.99. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure, but in all honesty, after the first few times I was using it, I was totally hooked. And when you sort of think about £24.99, there are some apps out there which cost a lot more than that a year. And obviously you can have a look and read for yourself what you get for £12.99, and you can decide whether or not that's what you want. But to be honest with you, I thought to myself, well, for £24.99, it's pretty much unlimited. It's the full sort of gold package, if you like. So for me, I just thought for £24.99 a year, I don't think that's a no-brainer. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And so a lot of the reasons why I was sold on this is, like, you can sort of go onto search location, and if you go to current location, it will sort of tell you exactly where you are right now. And it's really, and if you go like to save favorites, as you can see, it says there's nothing here. There's nothing here. So you can, but you can sort of add, you can add a favorite, and you can create folders and things like that. So let's sort of go back to this, select. So if you go to search the location, now one of the things I like about if I just go to Kings Pond, I'm just doing a local landmark around here. So you can use, so it's now taking me to this local landmark, which I've just put here. And so you can start, and then what you can do is you can say, well, I would like to go to, say, where shall we go? Let's go to somewhere, I don't know. Let's say, oh yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do. Yeah, we'll go to, right, we'll go to Porchester Castle. There you go. Now I hope that this kind of shows you. So we now got two sort of, that's our route there that is taking us down here. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Now, under here, you've got curvature, and over there, you've got avoidances. And so you can set the route according to what you feel like doing. So if you go to avoidances, it will give you basically which roads you want to avoid. Now, again, with me and my bike, my scooter, I always check unpaved roads, because I don't want it taking me down some sort of like green lanes or tracks that my scooter cannot cope with. And even with me and my riding abilities, I wouldn't really like to try that. I would also uncheck motorways for sometimes, because sometimes, and also avoid current closures. You can do that. Oh yeah, that's part of the Touring Plus feature. So you can do stuff like that. And then obviously you can avoid toll roads, ferries and all the rest of it. But just for now, you can do it like that. So now it's adjusted the route to make sure that it's not going to take me via any kind of motorways or anything like that. Now, also something to bear in mind is that my neck of the woods, there isn't much in the way of motorways. Once you start getting into this kind of area, there isn't that much. So, the main roads or motorways are going to, it's only going to be so much. So when you go to curvature, however, it turns around and says to you that you've got fast and curvy, extra curvy, and all curvy modes. And again, that's done through the Tourer Plus, which I've got, which I'll show you on my other one. But if you go to fastest, you'll see how the map adjusts itself. But that's sometimes no fun. But what you can do is you can actually zoom into this and you can actually see what the route is anyway. So you can see whether you're going down the motorway anyway. And like I said, sometimes, you're in a bit of a hurry. You just want to get to where you want to go. You don't necessarily want to use, you just want to minimize. But I tend to leave it under the fast and curvy option, which is this option here. Now, the reason why I do that is if you look at the other options here, you've got extra curvy and curvy, and there's probably some more modes. I can't remember what the others are, but we'll have a look. The problem is for me, I like the fast and curvy bit, because when you get to the extra curvy mode, I did find that watching another YouTuber, he did the extra curvy route, and it took him down some paths and I think he did some green lanes, which again, me and my bike cannot cope with, because I don't have an adventure bike. Like I said, it's a scooter. So, I keep away from the extra curvy one, but you may want to try it. Or maybe you do have experience with the Curve and Go app and have tried it. And so therefore you'd like to share your experience. So that's cool. And if you want to put that in the comments and say, yeah, I've tried the extra curvy route and you're totally right or you're totally wrong, then by all means put it in the comments. But I tend to stick to the fast and curvy because I like the mixture of like having the combination of having some nice sort of A-road sections maybe that you can just whiz along, combined with going through some of the villages and stuff like that and doing some of the curvy routes, which I've demonstrated before. So I tend to leave mine on the fast and curvy, but you can experiment with just the curvy route. And sometimes also, if you kind of look at the, I don't know how well it's going to show on here. It says here that the fastest route is 27.12 miles and 48 minutes. And if you go to the fast and curvy route, it reckons it's going to be quicker by 1 minute, but it's 28 miles. So, sometimes it's worth just sort of checking this out and seeing how you go. So you can sort of change it. I tend to leave it as fast and curvy, because that's just how I do it. Let's see how extra curvy it's going to take you. It's going to take you an hour. But again, and it's 31 miles. So you can actually look at it way before, as you're doing your route planning. And if you go onto here, where is it? Settings. Route planning detailed information is off. So if you put the speed limit in, right, okay, you need to have, so that's part of the, right, so, okay. So you need the Tourer Plus app for that. So you can't really add that in just yet. And then basically you can start your navigation. If you're happy with all of this, you can start your navigation. You go down to here. And I'm not gonna allow it for the moment because because I need to sort of do the navigation, I think. Yeah, so basically because I'm at home and I haven't got the GPS going on me, that's kind of why. But yeah, you can do that and you can start the navigation. Now, what I'm going to do is, if you want to end it, what you do is at the moment it's saying that there's, for some reason, it's added an extra one, so you can uncheck that. But you can add waypoints to your route. Where are we? What have I done here? Oh, here we are. Here's my route. For some reason, I moved the map. So you can add waypoints to your route, and you just press the add waypoint, and then you can add one in. When you're finished with the ride, it will ask you whether you want to save it, or if you look at it and you just kind of go, okay, that's fine. You can actually go back, and you can delete the route, or you can save the route if you want to save it for later. And you can go under save route, just save location as plan for the future. I think it's save route. You can do that, or marvelous routes. I've done that before. So now you can, what you need to do is, if you do want to change that, just delete the route. If you want to finish it, delete route. That's it, it's gone now. So you can start all over again. Now, it's asked me whether I enjoy using Kurviger, and I love Kurviger. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Now, let's see if it goes back to, you can see here, it says plan for the future. You go to that route, and it's got that one there. So we've now saved it. It's there, ready to go. So if I want to load it, you just click on that. You can load the route, and now you're ready to go. So it's pretty easy to do it like that. We'll delete the route again. Not now. The other thing is, I find that also, I tried the Kalamoto app, and I wasn't overly impressed with the location, the search engine on here. And I'm really am sort of like really pleased at kind of like, you can sort of, where is it? You can save this, I think, and you can save it to favorites. So if you want to save a favorite, let's just do that again. If you want to add, so you got save favorites. It says here, there's nothing here saved. But if I want to save this for later on, so in case I want to go again, but maybe from a different location, you can click on that. Click on the star, and it says you can save it as favorites. So you go to save, and then hopefully when you go to save favorites, it should say there's one favorite here. And it says there, it says Porchester Castle. So you can then go, oh, okay. So then if I want to use it from where I am as opposed to my route that I picked, I can just sort of click on that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sign in with my own email, and show you how I've done it with my own username and stuff with my account, so you can actually see what I've saved and you can see how you can build it up. So I've now logged in to my account, And just to show you that what you can do. So here I've got 4 routes here that's planned for the future that I haven't done yet. So it's just like, when I feel like it, I can do them and I can load them up at any time. You've got 10 rides that I've recorded, that I've done. And so these are all ones that I've sort of done and I've saved and recorded. So basically, once I've done the ride, it will ask me, this is under the Tourer Plus. So when you've finished, excuse me, it will ask you whether or not you want to save the route. I haven't got anything under the Marvelous routes yet. Also, you can, if you want to build up your portfolio on here, on your routes, you can break them down. So you can add another folder in and sort of say, say, I don't know, I like National Trust, so maybe I'll create a National Trust route folder. So all those places that I visit that belong to the National Trust, maybe I could put them into that folder and stuff like that. So you can all break it all down. And then you can also go to your favorites and stuff. And again, on my one, you can see that I've got a point of interest folder. So these could be anything. They could be cafes, airfields, stuff like that, attractions. I've got one for National Trust, places that I'd like to go to. I also follow the Bike and Brew, so there's a couple of those that I put on there. I also do some camping, so maybe I might add a few more campsites. I ride a Piaggio, so I might want to put some of the dealerships. So say, for example, if I'm riding along and say I have a problem with my Piaggio, with I might be able to put a sort of have an overlay of all the Piaggio dealerships that maybe are more local towards me. So if I have a problem, I can divert maybe, or something like that. Obviously, you've got your home, so that's obviously your home address. So, so wherever you are, you can always make your way home. And again, once again, you can create a new folder. So you might want a new folder for something else, and so, because if you put it all into one folder, you might find that you're going to have like loads and loads and loads of like points of interest or whatever. And maybe you might want to sort of filter them. And so maybe you'll create different folders. So you have one like I did. I've got one here for the National Trust, one for the points of interest, one for the Bike and Brew. So then it makes it easier to locate it and easier to find. Oh, my apologies. So that's how you do it. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. I really do. Here it is. So I also have this, which I suppose if I zoom out a little bit, and I know it's black, so it might be a bit difficult to see, but that is my CarPlay system. Now that goes onto my scooter, and what I'll do is I'll fire her up. And now it's on Android Auto. I just wanted to show you my CarPlay system. And this is the Android Auto, I should say. Now, I've been showing you all the main features on the iPad, but what I do is I actually do it through my phone and then transfer the information through my phone to the Android Auto, because basically it's connected via Bluetooth. So once you've paired them up, essentially if you're one of those people like me who doesn't like to have their phone mounted on the bike, just purely because of, like, from my point of view, I don't want to get my phone damaged, although it is damaged already. So you kind of have it on this Android Auto. And I wanted to mention it to you because this is one that I got from AliExpress and it's relatively cheap. I think so. There are people out there who will turn around and say to you that you can buy these really fancy, expensive CarPlay systems. And if that's your choice, then that's entirely up to yourself. This one was purchased via AliExpress, and it does me fine. And the thing being is I don't see the point in buying an expensive CarPlay system, especially for a motorbike or a scooter. Purely and simply, this is just my own personal view, is like, if you have an unfortunate accident or something like that and you damage your bike, you don't want to lose your sat nav at the same time and break your sat nav. And so if you've got something that's relatively cheap, it's then easier to replace than buying a really expensive sat nav. So that's just one of the things to bear in mind. One of the other things to bear in mind about this particular sat nav is that it's actually running off a power bank and a USB. So again, if you're one of those people that is a bit concerned about getting one of these CarPlay systems and you don't really like the idea of, like I was in the beginning when I was doing some research, that you don't really want to have to hardwire it into the main bike electrics, then you can actually use the USB ports that you've got on your bikes, if your bike has a USB port, and just connect it into that. And this particular one says it does. And as you can see, it's running off my trickle charger power bank, as you can see. And this particular one is an Anchor one that my brother bought for me a while ago. So you can see it's just powered by a power bank. And when I ride on my scooter, it's actually connected to the USB socket on my scooter. So, and then the information is just transferred from my phone to the CarPlay system. And you don't get the full features on the CarPlay system when it transfers over. So it's always sort of best to kind of do it all on your phone and then just transfer it over. Just press the start navigation, and then that will transfer the information onto your screen. Now, the reason why I can't do that is I'm actually filming off my phone that I actually use for my CarPlay system. And also I don't particularly want to give my exact location away, just for privacy and all the rest of it. But again, you can use the search mode to search for things, and the search mode is pretty good. And you can also have the follow mode. So if you just want it to track you without doing a particular route, you can do that as well. So I just thought I'd mention it to you. So obviously, when you look at the iPad, maybe some of you are thinking, well, how are you going to mount that onto it's a bit big to be mounted onto your scooter. I don't use that. It was just more for demonstration purposes, but this is actually the CarPlay Android Auto CarPlay system that I use. And that, as some of you will have seen already, it's just mounted on with a ball mount. So to finish, if you want to generate a round trip, which is something that, like I say, sometimes you have a sort of lazy day and you kind of feel like going out for a ride, but you're not quite sure what to do. One of the nice things about this app is you can generate a round trip and let Kurviger do the work. And so all you have to do is just click on the three dots here, and it says generate a round trip. And you can use your start location as wherever you want, like your current location. If you fix your current location, you just have to hit that. I'm just going to do it from King's Pond, and which is a local attraction around here. And you can use this kind of map to kind of dictate how much you want to do. And so first of all, we've covered the avoidances and curvature, so you can decide how much of that you want to do, what you want to avoid. And then you've got this slider here, which is the distance, and you can cover up to 370 miles is the maximum range, which is in kilometers. I'm guessing will it tell you? Okay, that's fine. I was wondering whether it will allow you to do curvature, whether it will allow you to change it on the fly for the kilometers. But yeah, and then the minimum is 15 miles. So between 15 miles and 370 miles is the coverage that you get in terms of a round trip. So recently I did a trip of 20 miles, but this weekend I'm going to see if I can go a bit further or maybe go somewhere else. And maybe I'll try 40 miles or 30, well, it says 35, so let's just say 35 miles round trip, as you kind of like want to build up your confidence. And again, it depends on your time, and it will tell you that as well. And then here, you can use this slider, where if you turn it off, it will just randomly sort of do it for you. It's just generate, and that's what it's done. That's just randomly. So that's my 35-mile round trip. And it will tell me that it will take me about 1 hour to complete, and it's about just under 36 miles, it reckons. Now, if I wanted to change that, you can use the approximate compass direction. Say you want to go south, sort of thing, maybe. You just do it again. It will tell you to, again, change it, and then you can adjust it accordingly. And then maybe if you've got some of your overlays, like some of your cafes that you've saved, or maybe some of the bike and brews, or some of the National Trust places, and they pop up sort of on your round trip, you can divert the route to sort of go to that place en route, so you get to see it sort of like on the overlay. So that's quite useful to have. And then you can sort of do that, and then you can start it and save it and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's quite cool. You can also, I think, you can change this to the terrain modes. So you can have, if you want to do it as like that, you can change it. I like it as the standard mode because I don't like to overcomplicate my map. You've got the terrain here as well that can tell you. You've got it all, and you've got all sorts of options that you've got here, but I like to have it as the standard map because then I know. And then if I go to here, it says points of interest, and again you can sort of overlays and stuff like that, so you can add all these things. Now I haven't got any overlay here at the moment, but yeah, so you can sort of add all these things on. So yeah, I like I said, I'm a great fan of all of this. I think it's absolutely brilliant, to be honest. So there we go. Those are all the options that you can have. And then all you have to do is just down here, you press the start. And here it's got the waypoints. So there's one waypoint down the bottom. So you start here, come all the way down here, and then it brings you back. So anyway, that's kind of an overview of the Kurviger app. And like I said, if you want to delete it, you just go to here, or you could save the route as, and then save it for later. So if you go, oh, I quite like that, I might save it for later, then you can do that, save it for later. And now we just delete the route, and you go back to normal. So yeah, so in conclusion, for the money that you pay for the year, I think you get an awful lot and an awful lot of options, and I think it's a really great app to use. I really do. I'd really recommend it. I've used it now. I've been using it for like a few months now, and I think it's really cool. I really enjoy using it. I haven't used it as much as I would like, but nonetheless, it is well worth checking out and trying out. I think it does take a little bit of getting used to, but now I'm sort of used to it. I'm finding it very easy to use, and it does get quicker to use, just like anything, really. So anyway, until the next time, my name's Susanna, and I'm your Piaggio MP3 Explorer. And maybe next time we'll try one of these saved routes so you can actually see for yourself actually on the road. Bye for now.